And greetings, friends. This is the Long in the Boot podcast, the podcast coming to you from the heel of the boot of Southwest Louisiana. And I am your host, G Long. Sitting across the way over there is, as always, Deb.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Well, you're talking to them, right?
I'm talking to everybody.
Including me?
Yes, including you.
Well, I had to be here. It was required.
Yes, but it's these good people don't know that we're together all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
7 long days a week.
Yeah.
Literally. Long days.
All right.
Get that? It's long in the boot.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if you'd like to...
How punny of you.
Punny. If you'd like to get a hold of the Long in the Boot podcast, the easiest way to do it would be to, pick up a phone, actually. It'd be 337-502-9011, and you can leave a message. And if I'm feeling particularly benevolent, I'll even answer the phone. And
I don't know that that's the easiest way. People don't like to talk on the phone.
Yeah, I know, but I'd love to hear from people, just because
chit chat.
Yeah. Or,
you like the chit chat.
And if they have something really cool to say, I'm looking for that one great message. Listen up, people.
The one great message.
I'm listening for that one great message that allows me to put it on the air.
Oh.
Radio stations used to always go, who plays the greatest hits? And they'd have voice people go, KY102 or whatever.
That called in with a great thing to say about them.
Yeah.
Well, I tried that with the T-shirt contest. I don't know that I was looking for great things to say. Just what have you liked?
Oh, wait a minute. The website.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have to remind
Get the trip dub in there.
Exactly. tripdub.longintheboot.com. And you can send an email and then I could read it, I guess, if it's really good. Mm. I could do that.
Yeah, I suppose so. We like the language.
I do love language.
Yes. That's what it's all about. I don't speak
any other ones other than English.
No, because we're terrible Americans.
I know a lot of cuss words in a lot of languages, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And, that's not this kind.
That won't get you very far.
That won't get you far in life. It really doesn't.
Makes you feel better sometimes.
I tried to monetize it. It was impossible.
Oh, okay.
People just don't like cuss words and other...
So I did do that. We recently got in our T-shirts, our merchandise.
Not just T-shirts.
I don't know what.
Really nice T-shirts.
I think they're lovely T-shirts. In fact,
good
Clark's here in the local area is who printed the T-shirts for us.
They did a great job.
So I appreciate that.
They look awesome.
But so I said,
it's got Long in the Boot both
on the front and the
coming
back,
and going.
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe that's the problem.
I don't mind if you see me coming with Long in the Boot, but I don't like you looking at my back.
Don't you walk away like that.
Don't look at my back.
I think it's probably best that
those of you who didn't make comments, like if all you did was like it, and you had to make a comment. You had to say something.
Yes.
This is all about. This is all about engagement.
That indicates that I know. According to Facebook, it's all about engagement.
We don't want to talk about them. Besides, it's not Facebook anymore.
No, it's the metaverse.
Meta.
Not metaverse. It's just meta. So can I finish?
Sure. Go ahead. I'll allow it.
I'm gonna ring the button chime on you.
Oh no.
Stepping on it.
Go ahead. I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Okay. So drum roll. Do I have a drum roll?
I don't have a drum roll.
What? Oh my God.
Oh man, that's a shame. That would have been an easy.
We talked about that. Okay.
I know. Well, you didn't remind me.
Did not listen. And look, I caught myself. You
didn't remind me.
I didn't say clearly.
But apparently.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Private joke. Oh, private joke. That's our topic today.
Well, he's a corporal now.
Private joke is a corporal now? Corporal joke.
Get it?
Generally.
All right.
Do you want to tell them the topic today before I finish my T-shirt story?
Sure. Why not? The topic du jour today, we're going to talk a little bit about humor, just humor in general, not our humor because it's pretty bad, but humor in a general sense, both jokes, but also just how it works culturally,
and just socially.
Yeah, what is humor? Humor is a weird thing, as it turns out.
It's a very odd topic. There's a lot of information out there.
It's amazing how much research they've done into humor and yet still have no answers.
Studies and psychology. Well, isn't that the way of life? You just question, you research and meander.
I think it's a form of philosophy. Actually, that's where I
philosophizing.
Anyway, let's go back to the T-shirts.
Okay,
though.
so I'll finish my T-shirt
because somebody got a T-shirt, right?
Somebody did get a T-shirt.
Well, then
there weren't a whole lot of people in the hopper for the drawing, but ironically enough, well, I don't know if it's ironic. No, it's probably not ironic. Josh Ardwan. First person.
Actually, it is ironic. He doesn't wear shirts ever.
Oh, ever?
Yeah.
So what does he do? What does he do when he's about to get in a fight?
Oh, yeah.
What does he pull off? His hat.
Hat. Yeah.
His long in the boot. Oh, I don't know if he won a long.
I don't think he got a long.
No, I don't think he did. All right. Well,
but he got a fine T-shirt.
Got a T-shirt. So, Josh, when you hear this, if you hear this.
He'll hear it.
If not, I'll message you myself.
He's faithful.
He is. Okay. He's a faithful listener.
He absolutely is.
So message me your address, sir.
Yeah, just message it. You don't have to call. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see how it is.
You can send a message. No, I don't want. I don't want him to be uncomfortable.
And we had a late entrant.
We did.
And she was. And am I doing this wrong with gender? But it was a female. And I feel like because she was the only female to step up, I'm going to give her a T-shirt too.
Ooh.
Yep. Making a command decision. Baby. Making a command decision. So, Catherine, you hear this? Message me. Oh, a T-shirt size, lady.
We just solved all gender issues.
Or you know what? And I don't even have to ship it to her. I might find where she's out. Selling her dog.
I stalk her on a regular basis, so I know where she is.
We saw her at the at her and her guy at the event.
We did,
and talked to them.
She has great pet treats and all kinds.
She does.
She makes them all, and they're natural and good. And I'm sure that we probably should have her information and
probably so.
Make her a friend of the show.
She that day sold 250 biscuits, or made 200.
I don't know. She made a lot of biscuits.
Yeah. So anyhow, Catherine, same to you. Josh, Catherine.
And from what I understand from all the dogs I've talked to, delicious.
They love it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I need to get some for Bella and Otto.
There you go.
I haven't bought dog biscuits for them since the bad ones I got at Rouse's.
Since the dog biscuit wars of 1893.
We had that literal shit show. You remember that? Like right after and I don't know if it was
we
the dog
did a show
biscuit.
About shit?
The dogs, both of them, Otto and Casey, they got sick that day.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So I have not bought my dogs dog biscuits since that event.
Yeah, but it's different here because they're all natural.
All natural and made by somebody we know. All right,
Who loves dogs?
Let's move on from that.
I think that's the important thing.
That was enough T-shirt
T-shirt
self-promotion and T-shirt discussion.
All right, I got a couple things in the news before we get going on the humor.
The news isn't funny?
The news can be funny. This story is actually a little bit funny. I didn't realize it was a problem, but anyway, here you go. I'm going to read the headline. I think we're all going to be pretty impressed.
All right.
They now have made glitter biodegradable.
Oh, praise him.
And they are calling it vegan glitter.
Vegan glitter. So a vegan
is biodegradable. You know what? I'm not a vegan, but I bet I'm biodegradable.
You know what? This is a miraculous story to me. I feel like that's a marvelous thing. Well, as a teacher who has had glitter in her classroom.
This bothers me a little bit because that means then that there is metric shit tons of glitter out there that will never biodegrade. Go away.
Well, I know. That's the whole isn't that the humor of the whole thing? The idea that once you get glitter in a space, it never goes away.
No. Look how many of those Twilight movies
so
we had.
Intuitively, I think I knew glitter was not biodegradable.
You're just going to let that joke slide right by? That was a pretty good joke.
I was talking over it. I don't even know what you said.
You said something about the glitter never going away. And I said, yeah, look how many Twilight movies there were.
All right. See,
now I need the rim shot drum too.
Hollywood is covered with glitter.
I can't do a drum roll, but I can do the
rim shot.
Yeah.
That sounds obscene. All right.
That's where your mind is, I guess. Okay. One other story from Louisiana. This one, Louisiana, you never fail to please. It's not about the election. It's not about any of that stuff. No. Louisiana has finally decided to pardon someone who was wrongly convicted of a crime. And that's rare in Louisiana.
I have no idea. No.
Oh, it's great. They have finally decided. Now the governor has not signed the pardon yet, but Homer Plessy is about to be pardoned after 125 years of being on the books as a criminal. Oh. His crime? Well, he sat in a whites-only railroad car 125 years ago and created the separate but equal ruling by the Supreme Court that led to years and years of Jim Crow and I suppose also statue raising, since most of the statues they've been taking down were put up then.
During that time period.
Yes.
Well, that was a necessary act. Glad it's done. Let's move on.
So, well, I think it's kind of funny. The board has sent the pardon recommendation to Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards for his final
He's
approval.
He's got to think about it.
But he looks forward to reviewing the recommendation of the board upon his return.
Oh, okay.
What?
So he's not sure he's going to sign it.
Keith Plessy, descendant of Plessy's cousin, I'm reading this story, said he felt as if his feet weren't touching the ground when he learned of this recommendation.
It's going to be life-changing.
Phoebe Ferguson, the great-great-granddaughter of the judge who ruled in the Plessy case, also applauded the recommendation.
Good.
So her great-great-grandfather was kind of an ass. Oh, yes.
All right.
I've thought about it long and hard, 125 years, and, well, gosh darn it, I think Homer Plessy deserves this pardon. And I will tell you that I'm sure that the Black community will just be so excited that this has finally happened.
Yes.
Because this has been literally at the top of their list,
of things
even
to get
above
done.
Like racial justice and all that's Plessy versus Ferguson.
Well, leave it to Louisiana.
There you go. So Louisiana, number one still.
Woo.
Yeah. Woo. Tiny woo, though. Little W.
Took you a while to acknowledge women's right to vote, but,
Well,
I guess it takes us a while. That's all. That's the point.
And there you go. So, all right. Anyway, I just thought I'd point this.
Those were your stories.
Those are my important stories that I would have done a video for if I didn't look like crap.
Oh, all right. Well,
I've been unhealthy recently.
After his nasal sinus.
And then a flu vaccine that has done as much damage as COVID did.
Yes. So we thought we'd talk about humor because you're so damn funny right now.
I know. So yeah, humor. Where does it come from? What is it? How does it work?
Well, it seems to be a universal human activity.
It definitely is. I guess we have to do a little history first, right?
I think history usually comes up first. Yep.
That's my department, I suppose. Well, we know when the word first appeared.
All right.
In writing. In 1340, the first written record of the word humor enters Middle English.
All right.
There you go.
Shakespeare refers to it a lot.
That comes later.
Yes. I know.
Humor is believed to have grown from the Latin word for liquid, weirdly enough.
It's the flow, man. It's your flow.
It originally referred to the four chief substances that ancient Greeks believed. Speaking of which, by the way, we always hold up the ancient Greeks as such smart guys. This is one of those examples of when they weren't. The four chief substances that ancient Greeks believed flowed through our bodies. Oh, you'll like this. I hope you're eating. Yellow bile, black bile, blood, and phlegm.
They were trying to make sense of the world.
Phlegm.
Phlegm.
In ancient humoral theory, notice theory, each of these substances was associated with a personality trait, and each person's unique mixture of bodily humors dictated their disposition.
Well, they were trying to explain, assholes.
Maybe they were.
That guy's just got too much black bile going on.
Well, they're trying to explain.
Yellow bile.
They were trying to actually try to figure out, even with Shakespeare's work, the book or the play that has done the most, has been studied the most, weirdly enough, for the origin of humor, is The Taming of the Shrew.
Sure. And
Taming of the Shrew is funny, but it's not all funny. It's biting as well.
It's very sarcastic.
It's vicious.
Caustic in many cases.
And one of the four bodily humors, because they have a name attached. So a caloric, a caloric, I like that, is somebody with too much, I think it was yellow bile, I think. I believe. Hang on.
So did they need to drain the biles to
No.
balance?
It depended on what it was. But anyway, the point was that these people that had this particular humor out of whack
had certain personality traits.
Right. The ideal person contained a healthy balance of all of them.
Back to balance.
Yeah.
See?
And the Greeks believed that especially black bile caused cancer, which I'm sure as they cut people open and found cancers that there was black bile.
Yeah. See, that's my point too. They were making sense of their world, trying to understand things. So if you had an excess of a bile, that explained.
Yeah. Yellow bile would result in aggressive or fiery personalities. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So those are calorics, right? And that means, but when Shakespeare was writing plays at that time, that was what was considered humorous. Was people
making fun of
like that, people who were angry and would lash out and do these really wild, big things. They're calorics, and that means they have too much yellow bile, and that's funny.
And they need an enema.
I don't know where you pull out the yellow bile.
I don't know where it comes from either, but it seems like a good start. It could be start of the process to see what cures them.
This belief, though, this medical belief in the biles and how it affected personality and all that, it went on for hundreds and hundreds
It really
and
did. It
hundreds
seemed
of
as
years.
good an explanation as any. Freud said that humor was a great defense mechanism against, obstacles and distress. That really it's just a way to help us release, fear and anxiety. It's less scarring when you have to deal with serious stuff.
I can see that. That's part of it for sure.
Yeah.
I think.
Unless you're Chinese. And
sorry, folks. You're going to hear me sniff a bit.
Sniffle. He's crying, guys. He's crying.
That's it. Yeah.
He's over there crying.
That's touching.
It's not funny at all.
It's touching. I feel so touched.
So, in Western culture, we see humor as a positive.
Yes.
It's great. It's healthy. And, it's not like that around the world, though. Not everybody is all about the humor. So
the doctors there, the Greeks and the doctors in the Middle Ages, still looking at humor.
Yes.
Or your humors. It said that while Greeks thought that humoral balance made for a healthy, rational person, it didn't make for particularly interesting characters in their plays.
So they had to have extremes.
So they had to throw somebody off balance.
Yeah, they had to have extreme.
And in Elizabethan times, that's Shakespeare times for you and me, there was quite a fad for writing plays about people who had some really pronounced one-track personality. Either they were always angry, always drunk, always sad.
Stereotypical, wicked stepmother.
Well, think about Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Romeo is just always sad until he meets Julia, or Juliet, I mean. And sorry,
Rosalind.
Whatever. Oh, he was fine when he had Rosalind.
No, he was pining away there too.
He was
a whiny.
I'm so tired.
Yes.
I hate Romeo.
And Juliet, was budding.
But if you think about their characters, Shakespeare definitely made characters that fit one of those four profiles.
Oh yeah.
And I
that's
think
why we still love.
I think we still
and
do
analyze what he gave us, because we all know people with those traits. We are those people.
I know, right?
We are those people.
So if you're, the other ones are calorics. There's sanguine, melancholic. That's basically all the vampires in Twilight. 2 Twilight jokes, same episode. And we have phlegmatic, which would be me today.
Yes, you are very phlegmatic.
I'm very phlegmatic. Well, is it phlegmatic when you add the attic, or is it phlegmatic?
I don't know.
We'll have to.
It's a regional thing.
Write that down.
It's regional.
A phlegmatic person tended towards easy contentment. Well, that's me today. Anything would make me happy today, especially being able to breathe.
Being able to breathe, yes.
That would be great.
That would be helpful. All right. Are you done with the whining about the phlegm?
I'm sorry. I've been melancholy about the phlegm.
Yes. Okay.
I've been melancholy about my phlegmatic. situation. All right. So there you go. That's the history of the origin of humor, and it comes from, again, the bodily humors.
There you go.
There you go.
There's that background. All
yes.
right. So do we need the Oxford English Dictionary definition of humor?
I'd be curious to hear it, actually.
The faculty of observing what is ludicrous or amusing or of expressing it. Imagination or treatment of a subject. Humor encompasses amusement and comic reactions, laughing, vocalizing, smiling, mirthful emotions.
I like that.
I like mirthful. Mm-hmm.
Read that first sentence again. I have an issue.
With the faculty of observing what is ludicrous or amusing or of expressing it.
So, expressing it.
Yes.
Humor?
Expressing the way you feel about the ludicrous or amusing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
What you observe.
I get it now. Never
it
mind.
says the faculty of observation. So if you don't have that faculty, do you not find things funny?
Well, you should observe things.
Well, but that's my point. Not everybody is observant. I mean,
that's true. Well, a lot of people
not everybody
aren't now.
finds Seinfeld funny, but Seinfeld is an observation-based humor.
Well,
and it's more appealing, I think, to people who live in the city.
It would be more appealing to people. But yeah, I guess so.
So you have to be able to, the faculty of observation.
Well, that's Seinfeld's whole
and you have to
comedy
recognize
shtick,
that it's
right?
either ludicrous or amusing.
Ludicrous.
Mm-hmm. Do you want the difference between how Westerners view things and Chinese?
Well, we're here to learn. Let's find out.
So, in 2008, an Iraqi journalist at a press conference in Baghdad threw a shoe at the then U.S. President George W.
Well, as we are wont to do.
Yeah, a shoe. After the incident, Bush joked. He said, if you want the facts, it's a size 10. So he made light of it, right? No big deal because he's,
So he didn't lie either. He didn't go like, it's a size 14. Or
no, he didn't embellish that. But he made light.
Let me tell you,
it's not a serious event, folks. Man threw a shoe at him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
a shoe on a sleigh.
That was long before then.
I know.
Yeah, so maybe they watched it and got their view. Yeah, let's throw a shoe at Bush. So George W. got a shoe thrown at him. Then about 2 months later, a student threw a shoe at the Chinese premier as he was giving a speech at the University of Cambridge.
How do you feel about that?
His reaction was not to make light of it in no way.
Sure.
Yeah. So the young man was removed from the lecture hall. And he said, this despicable behavior will do nothing to hold us back. The friendship of the Chinese and the British people, he will not come between us. So, despicable behavior.
You know what's bad, though, in my head? I'm thinking that if somebody threw a shoe at George Bush and the Secret Service just riddled him with bullets, then I'd be the one guy going,
I
laughing.
Don't think you would.
Everybody else would be looking at him, and I would think that was the funniest thing ever. Bet you never thought you'd get shot to death.
No, I think you misjudge. I think Americans would start making memes that second.
They would now, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I guess, 2008, 2009. That was a different time then.
Alec Baldwin knows what we're talking about.
Well, so the Chinese view the humor as a weakness. I mean, it is not a desirable trait.
No, they think
Eastern
even
cultures.
smiling, just being.
Yeah.
What was the thing
That
about
study when they showed people pictures of
Asian
Asians.
people? And hey, if you're an Asian people, don't take it personally. We're just telling you what we read. It said that Asian people, when you smile all the time, think you're an imbecile.
Yeah, they don't think you're very bright at all. It's just not something in their culture that is valued.
Which might tell you a lot about their past.
Well, yeah.
They struggled. They must have struggled.
Did. Well, so the point, of course, being is that it's very cultural. We have a shared sense of humor as a country.
Right.
And because of their collective.
But we've watched stuff that was extremely funny that has been made in China, movies and stuff.
Oh, sure. Well, but that was kind of the point of the article I read was that, like in Hong Kong, you have a variety of cultures. You have Taoists,
True.
you have Confucianism, no humor. Taoism humor.
Well, Hong Kong, don't worry, China will stamp all that nonsense out.
Well, yeah, but point being, there is a humor there. There is
Absolutely.
a sense of humor. If you ask the Chinese people in a survey who's funny, they don't find individual people they know. They don't find themselves or individuals around them funny, but they have like professional funny people.
Yeah, and they have situational
they acknowledge
funny.
that. Yeah. Well, that's how like Mr. Bean was cited as a type of humor that crosses. Yeah. Because that's something we all identify with.
Well, I was trying to think of their comedy movies that I watched, Chinese comedy movies, and yeah, it's there is something different going on because while the stuff is funny, it's all antic funny. It's not like somebody being funny. Like they're put into a situation and then their body language makes it funny.
Yeah, and we can all identify.
I was thinking about that movie Journey to the West that we watched one time with the big fish.
Yeah,
where the guy had to go on the journey.
Well, that was one of their myths. That was
right, but that's my point. So their myth would have been incorporating early humor.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
But their characters
it was ludicrous, and
but their characters were kind of the same as Shakespeare. You have to create one-track characters
in order to
propel a plot forward.
So if you have a character that is in-depth and multi-layered, they're not funny? No,
you can have that, but in a humorous well,
I guess it depends on what you're trying to go for the movie.
Well, do we want multi-layered depth in a humorous character? I guess was what I was asking. Because we've had movies where you have funny.
Yeah,
but is a really complicated, in-depth person ever really that funny?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, that's something for another
circle
discussion.
Back to that.
Yeah. Well, and there are different types of humor. You have self-enhancing humor, you have self-defeating humor, you have aggressive humor. Apparently, both Westerners and Easterners are saddened and repelled by aggressive humor. I take issue with that. That study was done in 2010 that came up with that belief or result. And I don't know. Are Westerners saddened and repelled by aggressive humor? I don't think that's the case.
Well, I don't know. Three Stooges, pretty aggressive.
Well,
but that's all physical comedy.
But we're got to change time periods.
No, that's true.
If you're every time period now, we're talking about something different.
Yeah. Well, I was just talking about humor in general.
Yeah, like if you want to go back to Three Stooges, Groucho Marx time, then you're looking at a different type of humor. And does that apply today? It's where we came from.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Humor actually has a kind of a bad reputation, though, in history, too. I was noticing
if you're going to be using satire, I guess, to bring down governments or something.
No, but even further back, I was actually surprised. It may shock you to learn that the early church, they didn't think that anything was worth laughing about at all.
No,
they did not like humor. And they didn't like people laughing.
They especially didn't like it when their monks who were illuminating their text made humorous comments in the margins.
And it's this thing about, where does humor come from and how has it evolved? And it was a thing that Plato said, which was Plato didn't like humor because he considered it always malicious.
Oh, always it is hard to come up with humor, to make fun or make a joke about something that doesn't poke fun at it is hard to come up with that kind of humor.
He had a book he wrote called Philebus, and he was actually taking aim at humor. He didn't like it. And
he's trying to get rid of it.
So he analyzed the enjoyment of comedy as a form of scorn. He said, taken generally, the ridiculous is a certain kind of evil, specifically a vice. That vice is self-ignorance. The people we laugh at imagine themselves to be wealthier, better looking, or more virtuous than they really are. In laughing at them, we take delight in something evil. And that thing is their ignorance. And that malice is morally objectionable.
Because that's the question in Flowers for Algernon, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he becomes intelligent and realizes that his friends were only laughing at him the whole time, and that's where the friendship came from. He then had no friends. So that's the question. True. What is it? Is it better to be ignorant and just to let them?
Well, Plato would be happy to know that we're heading to a society that he would have actually liked.
Yeah, because now humor can't be It has to be balanced. It has to be humor of equal.
We shall enjoin. Plato thought that comedy should be controlled by the state.
Oh, dear God.
Can you imagine? We shall enjoin that such representations be left to slaves or hired aliens, and that they receive no serious consideration whatsoever. No free person, whether woman or man, shall be found taking lessons in them. No composer of comedy, iambic, or lyric verse shall ever be permitted to hold any citizen up to laughter by word or gesture, with passion or otherwise.
So you're saying the pendulum is just swinging back then
Towards what he
was looking for.
Yeah. But I mean, it got a really bad rap. Comedy
Wow.
got a really bad, and of course the Christians, I can't even.
So everybody walked around smug and humorless. Did they go home and cut jokes? I
and
mean,
even in the Bible, humor, the first reference to humor.
yeah.
The kings of the earth stand ready, and the rulers conspire together against the Lord and his anointed king. The Lord, who sits enthroned in heaven, laughs them to scorn, and then rebukes them in anger and threatens them in his wrath.
Oh, wow.
The only laughing God does is with hostility.
Is with, yeah.
So I'm assuming it's a really loud, demonic sounding laugh, right?
It's like Sergeant Hulka last night in Stripes. When the sergeant, we said he's humorless. He has no sense of humor. And then when he did, it was awful.
And children laugh at Elijah. If you remember in the story, you remember? Yes. That's the story about Elijah where the kids make fun of him about his bald head and they're mauled to death by bears.
Uh-huh.
Hilarious.
What have we learned, children?
Is there anything just more humorous than a bunch of kids getting mauled to death by bears? I mean,
crazy. Well,
so whoever said the Bible didn't have a sense of humor, wrong.
Well, I guess it depends on your
Mauled
humors.
Children.
It depends on your humors. So, because we really are moving towards that with our.
And don't get me started about that circumcision joke. That really went far. Imagine telling people they had to cut off the end of their willy.
And they did it.
Oh, hilarious.
All right. Are you done now?
God's still laughing at that one, by the way. Yeah, I'm done 4 now.
Okay.
You got something else?
Do I have something else?
You must have something.
I do. Men and women, the difference in humor with men and women.
Oh, you mean like that men have one?
Well, it's
a sense of humor.
It's interesting. And you should be glad that women are interested in you having a sense of humor.
Well,
that's what brings couples together.
How could they not?
Watching men and women be funny, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Watching them be funny.
Yes.
Tell me more.
You'll have to cut that. I don't know what that is.
So
they call it the humor gap, right? But
the humor gap.
Yeah, the humor gap.
Women are being paid less than funny women are being paid less than funny men.
Well, it's in benefits for sure, if not financially. I'm sure women comedians make less money than male comedians.
Well, it's because women aren't funny.
There you go. There you go. All
They're
right.
waiting. I set it up, man. You kept defending. Finally got one over the net.
So really, one of the things that female comics lose is the benefit of groupies.
What?
Yeah. So there's this woman comedian, Susan Prickle. Oh, that's a tough last name. She
Susan
says,
P.
Susan P. There you go. She says by the end of a gig, the attractive man in the front row, he's going to find me sexually repulsive. She said in her decades of performing in clubs, she's only been asked out once, and she's apparently an attractive lady.
Do we have a picture of her?
No, we don't have a picture of her.
Spell that last name,
There
please.
you go. Susan, and it's Prekel. Prekel.
Kel?
Kel. Now, story may be old, so you may be,
Prekel?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Images.
So the point is the guys, the male comedians.
Hang on, let me put in nude.
A heavy groupie presence at the end of the evening, and she never gets asked out.
Man, she looks like perfectly normal.
No.
I mean, Is she ugly? No.
Okay, well then, in 10 years of working in comedy clubs, you'd think that the woman
maybe
would get asked out.
I'd have to hear her humor. Maybe there's something she does that's off-putting to men.
Perhaps, but she's continuing to do it, so she hadn't stopped in a decade. So I'd have to say,
she's making a living.
She's making a living doing it. So
that's the important.
It's an interesting idea, though, that men will not chase a woman or go after a woman who performs and makes jokes.
You know what? I wonder if that's also true for like female rock and roll.
I bet it isn't. I think music might be different.
I don't know. You ever seen a picture of like, what was their name? The Cramps?
Well, but that's group specific.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, would men go after?
So the idea is that
that's interesting.
Men want someone who will appreciate their jokes, and women want someone who makes them laugh. And apparently that's how the system works. And it's been pretty successful, for mankind. So both genders really do appreciate a sense of humor. Men and women use it differently, though. That's kind of the idea. Humor in all forms: sarcastic, witty, anecdotal, ironic, satirical, complicated. It's all very complicated. And yet,
that is really an interesting. Is it because men don't chase fame the same way?
For what? For the comedy?
Well, we'd have to figure out why women comedy groupies go after the men.
Oh, you're still stuck on that.
Yeah, well, is it because men made them laugh? That was enough?
Well, yeah, because women desire that.
But men don't care if women make them laugh?
Women choose funnier men as potential dates, but men showed no preference for funny women, which supports the idea that she wasn't pursued.
Huh. That's interesting.
Both sexes say they want a sense of humor, right? Women interpreted this as someone who makes me laugh, and men wanted someone who laughs at their jokes, right?
I guess so. I laugh at your jokes.
Well, when the relationship becomes long term, and then you start getting those private jokes and those inside jokes that the audience goes, "What the hell are they talking about?" But you and I are laughing.
Yeah.
Well,
Good point.
And the women get funnier in relationships, and men get less funny as the relationship goes on.
That's true. Hang on. Time out. I'm going to blow my nose. And we're back. Sorry, I was going to leave that in, but you all didn't want to hear that. Anyway, so we humor, Deb. Last part of that.
Are you still stuttering?
Yes, I guess I am stuttering.
All right. So humor is equal to intelligence. It's a good indicator of intelligence. So that's the reason they think women go after witty, funny men. They desire that trait. Although when they're ovulating, they also want beefy men.
Beefy.
They want someone they think genetically is going to be a good
Mr. Beefy. That's 2 podcasts in a row I was able to reference Mr. Beefy.
Well, it's your podcast. You can just do it.
You know why that's funny?
Jeez. All right. And
so anyway.
Intelligence is a desirable trait, apparently.
Well, I think that's probably true. Yeah. So anyway, what about national humor?
Oh, national, like our
cultural,
our
natural. Yeah. Okay. I mean, so talk a little bit about the history of this idea of humor, which again, I cannot stress this enough. Looking at all the scientific stuff, because the scientific journals were interesting, but they're not interesting to talk about in a podcast. But the consensus is kind of like, but the consensus of the philosophy of humor, they've come up with different reasons, but they still can't nail it down. There's a group of philosophers who believe, and that's what humor has turned out to be, a study of philosophy. They're looking for the scientific basis for humor in the brain. They can't figure it out. I don't think that's gonna happen. It's elevated beyond that.
Yeah, you start as a child getting peekaboo and I got your nose humor from your parents, and then it just grows socially through your environment But
they've come up with like theories, and they're all theories of what humor is, and they've settled on.
So they've taken it and made it not funny.
The first one was the superiority theory. That it just makes you feel superior to somebody else to find humor.
If you're using that kind of humor, if you're taking pleasure at somebody else's suffering.
Well, it's the idea that our laughter expresses the feelings of superiority over other people or a former state of ourselves.
Okay, so self-deprecating.
Right. And then there's the relief theory, which is the relief valve. It's a nervousness, it's an energy.
So that's the fear and anxiety you release when you laugh.
So when you laugh, you're releasing that so you don't explode like a I don't know, pressure valve. Then they have this thing called the incongruity theory.
Yes.
Which is
I've read about that.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the things that they're working on. The one that stood out now, the one that they're circling it out. Yeah, it is the dominant theory of humor in philosophy and psychology. This theory bridges both philosophy and psychology.
Really?
In humor. And strangely enough, it was an approach that was started under Immanuel Kant, Soren Kierkegaard, Arthur Schopenhauer. These are those guys the first real great psychologist philosophers.
Yeah.
Right. And so they were the ones that kind of dealt into that. And it's Aristotle that, weirdly enough, because he's the teacher of Plato, right? Aristotle does not agree with Plato. Plato came up with his own thing.
He thinks humor is vital. And
you have to, the analyzing of, when we see something funny, said one of these guys, our laughter always proceeds from a sentiment or emotion excited in the mind in consequence of certain ideas being presented to it. So things have to mesh. You know how sometimes we say, man, I can't believe that movie failed. It was really funny, but nobody went to see it. I thought it was hilarious. And other people go, I hated that movie.
Yeah, and you just can't
understand. This argument over humor, the incongruity theory says that's why that happens. Is because it
falls flat for some. I actually have, it says here, the incongruity realization that these are the simple jokes that involve less cognitive skills than language-based jokes. So here is the joke that goes along with the incongruity idea. A horse walks into a bar and the barman says, "Why the long face?"
Yeah.
Okay, so that they're using that as the point when children get humor based on an incongruity. What's expected and what actually happens, and it's different than what was expected.
And not all children get that.
No, well, they just said around the ages, like 2 to 5. Peekaboo is a actual form of this. It's like, it's there? Huh, it's not there. I got your nose.
Well, incongruity it's the basis for that stupid joke, the bar joke with the duck. And I tell my students this joke every year just to watch their faces to see which one of them actually
get it.
And dear listeners, you'll remember this if you recall. But guy walks into a bar and he's got a duck on his head. And the bartender says, "Hey, how'd that happen?" And the duck says, "Started out as a pimple on my ass."
Well, you don't say ass.
Not in school, of course. Okay. But the point is, that's incongruity.
Yes,
right?
Yes. Well, and here, imagination plays a big part in spotting incongruity humor, right? So children begin deliberately repeating behaviors, like peekaboo and things like that with parents. So that's them beginning that development. So somewhere around 2 years of age, they start getting it a little better, and can actually do it themselves. So watch your kids for their developing senses of humor. It's coming from you.
Yeah, right.
It's coming from you.
But yeah, that still goes with it, though. The idea of, because Schopenhauer came later and Kierkegaard and said, because of the laughing at humor, it provides us pleasure. And it's the pleasure principle, basically, in a nutshell. But it's this idea that in life, we seek pleasure. We know that. Mm-hmm. And one of the things it says humor is the last stage of existential awareness before faith, which I thought was interesting. Kids can get humor
before they
can understand faith.
The concept of faith.
Yes.
That's very deep.
The person with a religious view of life is likely to cultivate a better sense of humor, said Kierkegaard.
Well, I thought we were talking about American sense of humor.
Oh, we were. I just got sidetracked.
I know.
Sorry.
All right.
Go ahead.
Meanwhile, I've got a dead parrot over here.
No, not a dead parrot.
Yes. So, American humor.
Is there such a thing?
There is, because we share it as a culture. But I think in recent years, probably the last decade or two, I think that we've divided up so much that we don't have such a national sense of humor anymore. Occasionally we come back together for things. Bernie's mittens.
Oh yeah.
I think the nation came together for that joke.
We found it funny.
It was harmless. I know that
Bernie probably didn't think so, but
he embraced it.
Well,
and they sold mittens and they sold sweaters and.
Did he really?
I think he did. I think it was okay. I think he said that we need to laugh as a country together.
And what better thing to laugh at than Bernie Sanders mittens?
Well,
whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
So, different kinds.
Certainly better than the inauguration.
Than what was going on.
Yeah.
Well, unless you were George Bush, he was enjoying himself.
No, wait. Was Bernie at Trump's inauguration?
Oh.
Or was he at Biden's for the mittens?
I think it was Biden.
No, it's only been a year.
No, it only has been.
It had to be Trump, right? Yeah. Had to be.
You got the Google right there, sir.
Yeah, I know, but we need to move on with our humor.
Oh, okay.
So
slapstick, right? Slapstick is pretty much universal.
Sure, and we certainly have a plethora of examples of different kinds of humor that are American humor. I thought it was interesting that certain kinds of humor, they're worldwide.
Yes.
Slapstick seems to be popular pretty much around the world.
That was airports. Airports have to be, their humor and their posters and motivational things have to all be kind of neutral.
And anybody making jokes about airports, it's going to be, everybody knows.
It's something we can all identify with.
Sure.
And it's usually situational, like being in an airport or,
Yeah. And so I wonder if jokes about mother-in-laws, because for the longest time those were
acceptable. They're
I wonder
not
if that's acceptable worldwide, though. And it said also social transgression humor.
Yes.
Which I guess we call it a fish out of water kind of thing.
Yeah. Mr. Bean does that very well.
Mr. Bean is a good example of social transgressions constantly.
Yeah. He does things that kids laugh. They still laugh at that.
And, it's pretty funny. Look, a man puts a turkey on his head. You got to laugh. How do you not laugh at that? But then again, that's the weird thing, I would imagine that's worldwide. I bet Mr. Bean is funny pretty much everywhere.
I would think.
Wouldn't you think?
Even the Chinese?
Whereas his other character, Blackadder, only works in England and for a select audience in the United States.
I think the fact that you and I both had that experience of British humor in our background helped us.
It certainly has helped broaden my sense of humor.
Yeah, I think so.
Because American humor at the time, especially at that particular time, I couldn't listen to the comedians who were really big because they were raunchy.
Oh, no. My daddy bought me those albums.
Well, but I mean,
no, most people.
I wasn't going into a store and getting a Red Fox album.
Yeah, well, I had one. I did. I had all the Richard Pryors. I had, all of that.
But we certainly had an edge to our humor over the years. If you go back and we know that Mark Twain clearly was a humorist.
Oh, yeah.
He toured the country doing his brand of humor where really all he did was tell stories.
He told stories, but he also had biting sarcasm and satire.
Yeah, he did.
Because he was making points as well.
And people laughed. But I wonder if some of his jokes, like now, where somebody will do jokes and some of the jokes go over somebody's head or something, I wonder if people in the audience ever left, there had to be people that left Mark Twain going, well, I just don't see why he's funny.
Oh, I'm sure. All
he did was tell stories. My grandpa tells stories.
Well, that's we all know funny people.
Oh, yeah. I just thought it was kind of, Mark Twain is one of those guys. He's said, humor is the greatest gift God ever gave us, was the sense of humor.
And yet we have other evidence of people with a completely opposite view. So
yeah, well,
there's the human.
They're wrong.
The complexity of being human.
No, it's humor is man.
Well, and that's part of the
problem.
problem.
How do you get through life today without it?
That's part of the problem, I think, of America, is we were talking about the idea that at one time as a country we sat around radios and listened to the
community
same music, the same humor, and the same shared stories. And so the country had a community, a commonality.
It was a giant campfire.
Yeah, so we right? And so we all had the same references as a country.
Right.
And even now we're not even reading the same books. We
also have
TikTok and all of the everybody's got their own.
But we also have the rise of political correctness and how that's curtailing humor in certain ways.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you can't still be funny.
Yeah.
But there are certain comedians. The best one I can come up with is Jerry Seinfeld. He won't go to colleges anymore because he gets so much pushback from college.
He's not the only one.
But no, he's not offensive.
No.
He's just not offensive.
Observational humor.
No, I think it's gotten to the point now where he gets in there and goes, "What's the deal about airplanes?" And somebody in the audience works for like an airline company.
And you think they get
and they get angry.
Okay.
He's talking about me. Man, chill your thin skins out, people. Comedians are just because I did a lot of research and threw out a lot of stuff because it just didn't translate well. But just get online and look up Don Rickles. Don Rickles stand-up and watch how completely inappropriate it absolutely is. Never cusses.
No.
But he takes a room full of various people, ethnic groups, and their celebrities.
And points out all of those differences.
And wow.
It's the incongruity.
Mm-hmm.
He's pointing out everybody's. Well, that's the point we've been saying.
Well, he told Ricardo Montalban, that's Khan from The Wrath of Khan for you youngsters. He told him to go back to his mud hut in Mexico.
And everybody laughed.
Including him.
Yes, of course. But we were allowed to be different then.
Yeah, but
now
man.
You're allowed to be different, but you all better like it.
Toe the line.
I guess. So, see, we don't have a national humor.
What we're doing is
we're making it so
you can't do humor about certain groups now.
You can't do humor pointing out differences.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
Humor has to be equal.
100% equal.
Yes.
So you can't point out things, stereotypes that are in fact actually true.
So our next famous comedian.
So like if I was to say today, well, Jews are really good with money.
Jews are really good with money.
That's wrong.
It's a stereotype. You're not allowed to.
But in fact, they've proven through the years, and I can prove it historically that they were.
Something interesting I came across too. It was the Jewish Museum of Humor.
Yeah.
They have an exhibit in the Tel Aviv Museum, but then they also have one in New York, and they have books and a nice little gift shop. You can get a book called Haikus for Jews. And
I would like to read some
poems about Jewish humor.
Jew haikus.
So, no, they're celebrating the fact that they have gotten through all of their difficulties as a people with humor.
We could argue that they helped build the American sense of humor.
Absolutely. That's part of the exhibit. That is. It was really, I stayed there for a while. But, one thing I was a little disturbed by. Okay, so the Jewish Museum for Humor has a gift shop with lots of things to purchase. We go to Belgium to the Torture Museum.
And nothing.
No gift shop. I'm still
the Torture Museum.
How is there not
no
a
gift
t-shirt?
shops.
How they not even
no
have
cat o' nine tails.
Nothing.
No spiked chairs.
Like, man, I said to the guy, "You're missing a huge opportunity here."
Oh, absolutely.
I want 2 T-shirts.
Nipple tongs. Nothing at all.
I'm so bothered by that. It's been
not even a ball gag.
I'm still bothered by that.
You can go into a leather shop and get a ball gag.
And not the Torture Museum.
Not the Torture Museum. No, sir.
It was a great little museum.
Except for the fact that they had no merch.
Yeah.
They need merch.
And I check online periodically.
To see if somebody said, hey, maybe we should get some merch.
We need some T-shirts. Even that stupid little podcast in Longville has it.
Speaking of which, if you're interested in buying a shirt, we're going to have them up online before long. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. When you do your job.
Okay, you tapped the paper angrily. What else did you have to say?
No, just I was trying to finish something, and now I don't know what I was.
She was glaring at me, people. Making me feel terrible.
Well, the fear of where humor is going to go, I mean, where are we at?
We don't know.
Dave Chappelle had almost shut down an entire industry.
Right? Well, nobody's apologizing, though, and maybe that's what needs to happen at this point. Actually, you know what's going to happen? You're going to start having comedians that will be their focus, the very thing. It's like comedians will start doing comedy about political correctness.
I think
Bill Burr's doing it now.
Yeah, I think
a lot of his comedy deals with that.
That they point that out. I think they have, and they're doing that. No different than George Carlin in the 7 dirty words and.
Well, it's the other words, though. It's not the 7 dirty words.
Well, no, not now. But at his time, he was trying to break boundaries.
There are a lot of these little two-way, double entendre words that have 2 meanings, words that are okay part of the time. I call them like part-time filth. Some of these words, they're only 50% dirty. You have words like ass. Ass is hardly even a dirty word anymore, but it has a few meanings that you can't say on television. That's what I was talking about. What can you say on television? That's another one of those places where we can't use these words all the time. But some of them are all right some of the time. Ass is all right on television. You can say on television things like, well, you've made a perfect ass of yourself tonight. But you can't say, hey, let's go get some ass. Bitch. Bitch is another word like that. Same kind of word. It's only dirty part of the time. Depends on what you mean by bitch. You might be the lady from the San Diego Zoo visiting one of the Tonight shows, and you might just have a bunch of little canines with you there. One of them is a female. You say, there's the bitch, Johnny, and it's okay, fine. Just don't refer to the singer the same way. That's all. Is that bitch going to do another number? Yes. Animals are fine on those two-way words, and that's it. That's what I was trying to find. The words that were always dirty, not just part of the time, but completely filth. Well, in looking for these words, I kept finding new categories. We have so many ways of describing these dirty words. We have more ways to describe dirty words than we actually have dirty words. That seems a little strange to me. It seems to indicate that somebody was awfully interested in these words. They kept referring to them. They called them bad words, dirty, filthy, foul, vile, vulgar, coarse, in poor taste, unseemly, street talk, gutter talk, locker room language, barracks talk, bawdy, naughty, saucy, raunchy, rude, crude, lewd, lascivious, indecent, profane, obscene.
George Carlin talking about
fighting for comedy.
Yeah.
Fighting for the right to be able to say things that are part of part of being a human being.
And that's what humor has always been. It's the human condition.
Yes, it's a shared experience. That's why the Jews have such a good sense of humor. They have a lot of shared experience.
And of course, again, proof of that is Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah, actually, that's come up quite a bit lately.
Well, if you can write an entire series about the Nazis 15 years after the discovery of the concentration camps, that's pretty amazing.
That is, and to get
it on the air,
get it on air, and have people watch.
Well, you know why? It was Jews who put it on the air.
Yeah, and so everybody said, well, it's okay if they're doing it.
Yeah, and then you got Mel Brooks.
But that's humor.
Jews in space.
The technique I don't actually find all that funny is somebody's so stupid. Like the Germans are so stupid that everything the Americans do is. And
there's things that I don't like in humor that people love too.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber is a good example. I still.
Well, and like sitcoms based on the husband being such a screw up that he acts like a child, and his wife has to come behind him,
save him every time.
No.
But those were funny at one time. I think the problem is they just ran their gamut. And it took a while to realize, because if you think about like situational comedies of the 70s, how were those different from the 50s? Really?
Yeah.
The
clothes were different.
Well, the clothes and the music and the look was different, but overall it was still a misunderstanding.
Yeah. Three's Company. That's all that show ever was.
A misunderstanding.
It was one giant misunderstanding.
Well, Leave It to Beaver. Go way back. Mm-hmm. There was always a misunderstanding.
Or somebody not communicating.
And then he had to get the answer. And Andy Griffith was the same thing. Opie was Beaver on Andy Griffith.
And think of how cell phones would have changed all of those misunderstandings.
Right. No doubt.
There would have been no plot.
Yeah, because we have no misunderstandings today. Thank God for cell phones.
What does that emoji mean? I don't even know. I did it without my glasses on. I can't tell what the hell I
know.
pushed.
I keep expecting my mom to one day go, somebody keeps sending me eggplants. I just don't get it. Is he a farmer?
I used to like eggplant.
You mean aubergine, right?
Okay, shut up. I can't stop. See, there's a shared experience. Yeah. Comes from the human condition, people.
Aubergine. I like that word.
We are. I like that word.
We're about out of time, aren't we?
We probably are about out of time. And I'm really, all I know is that as a culture, our humor is shifting, and changing. We are going to have a strange future.
Oh, I think we're in it.
Well, we're in the present.
Well, if the shortages of everything continue, I suppose in a few years we'll be like the Russians were in the 70s with like making jokes about the long lines.
About the lines in the
fact
bread.
that you could.
Yeah. Well, did you see today they're stealing the cargo off the cargo ships that are out there?
Why not?
So now we've
Piracy.
got pirates coming and just taking the shit. So shortages either way.
Give me your tanker.
Biden, do what you will. People are just going to steal it, and it's not getting here.
Well, he's, you know.
I don't know.
I don't know what to think about all that.
But it made me laugh.
I know a lot of people
headline.
hated Trump enough to continue beating the Biden bandwagon. But come on, you got to know.
I don't know where this is all going to go.
You got to know.
I don't know where it's all been. Okay. So.
Because, I mean, I want to start talking like Biden.
No.
We're going to have to wrap this up. This podcast.
He's going to whisper at them.
Well, that's what he does now.
Okay.
That's his new thing.
So, Catherine and Josh.
T-shirts. We need Addies, please. Yeah. That's what we need.
We do. And you guys are just going to have to laugh because, I mean, it's a crazy world out there.
All that work I went getting clips, and we didn't even really use all.
I know. Well,
we only used one. But it was fun.
Yeah.
This subject, we just scratched the surface.
I know it's got a lot of. You tried to get real deep there for a bit, and
I'm sorry.
I thought you were going. I thought we were going to be scratching the surface, and you went all existential on us.
I didn't mean to.
And I'm
all Kierkegaardy.
It's like we went from looking up to see how hot a comedian was to existentialism. Like, damn, I wasn't expecting all that.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Or existentialism.
Nobody expects the Spanish existentialism.
Look it up, people.
Wait, Schopenhauer's not Spanish. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
And I didn't even get to my cool words.
Oh, the slang?
Yeah.
Do you want to take us out with some slang?
Real quick.
All right, take us out
10
with some
most
slang.
popular slang words.
You can cut something from earlier.
10 most popular slang words according to whoever the hell these people are right now. Number 1, ghosted.
Oh, as in
someone cutting off all communication. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Salty.
Oh, you're being salty?
Bitter, angry, or upset.
Oh.
Don't be salty. What if I have a reason to be salty? Besides, aren't people a little salty all the time? Anyway,
the potential's there.
On point.
Oh, yeah, that's been around a while.
Woke,
of course.
being alert to societal injustice. Well, you know what? They didn't need a word. If anybody was not aware that there wasn't complete equality across the board for everybody in this country. Now you just discovered this?
Yeah.
Didn't you learn about the 1920s?
I don't know why they had to make a big scene about everything just to inform people of that, but apparently it had to happen.
Number 5 is GOAT, and GOAT, greatest of all time.
GTO?
No, greatest of all time, the GOAT.
Oh, so that can be
See,
anybody?
in the old days, it's just the opposite. If you were the GOAT,
you were the butt of a joke.
Charlie Brown was always the GOAT of his baseball team. Extra.
Yes, to be extra.
Top. Mm-hmm. To be low key.
Chill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it also means secret.
Low key. Yeah, keep it down. Well, keep it on the down low.
Hey, baby, if you see me in a restaurant, be low key because, the wife.
Said that like you've said it before.
Yeah, so many times.
24/7.
Well, what can I do, man, with this sense of humor? I got to knock them up with a stick.
24/7.
Catfish. Assuming a false identity or personality on the internet.
A liar.
Yeah. Savage.
Here,
let me make that face again.
I kind of like it.
Savage. It's not caring about the consequences.
Oh, as in how savage of you to do that because you're going to get caught.
No, nobody saw me make the gay face. Uh-oh. And if we have any gay listeners, don't take offense. I was just being silly. All right, there we go.
And Dave Chappelle has a trans friend, and look what happened to him.
Yeah, but he was pretty.
He was caustic.
Man, that was long.
He was caustic. I won't deny that.
But I laughed. All right. I laughed at thinking about all the
rebuttal he was about to get. Yeah.
And the last one, number 10, and this is one I learned not too long ago, thirsty. You know what thirsty is now? Needing approval, attention, or affection.
Oh, that makes sense.
Well, we see them all the time.
Yeah.
On Facebook, the reels, which
that I found disturbing. Now I do not have TikTok, do not know anything about TikTok. I see the kids at lunch making their little TikToks, and I think, wow, that
and most
looks
of them
really
consist
stupid.
of a girl walking towards the camera, spinning halfway, looking over their shoulder with their butt pointed towards the camera. And I got to tell you, that thing has become duck lips.
Yeah.
All right. It's the same thing.
Well,
just knock
there
it
may
off.
be something of consequence and value there that people have or do. That's fine. I don't know anything about it, and I don't want it on my Facebook. Why is it showing up there? My first question to you is, do I know the people that are putting these reels there? And I don't. They don't seem to be anybody I know.
Oh, and we have 2 COVID-related slang words. I want to put those in real quick before we wrap it up. Maskne, which is acne caused by wearing a mask all the time.
Okay, I thought that's what it was.
And the quarantini.
Is that a martini that you make during quarantine?
Yes.
What about the banana bready?
Banana bready. Oh, we have the Rona.
Yeah.
Everybody had that one.
Yeah.
And long hauler. Got that. But that used to be a trucker.
Well, now you've got new medical terms that go along with it, too. That'll be added as well.
Oh, yeah. A jab.
Yes.
Quarantine and chill. You know, a COVIDiot. That's people who disagree with the safety guidelines.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Who cares?
Well, apparently you did. You had to read it all.
I know. I just thought it was funny, the words that came from COVID-19.
All right. Well,
because they're saying, just like World War II, COVID-19 created its own lexicon. Are we really comparing World War II to COVID-19?
Wow. Really sensitive of you there.
And right now, I'm sure there are people going, as many people have died from COVID as died. It's a different thing altogether.
Okay. So apples and oranges is
Absolutely.
what you're saying. And
well, COVID, a lot of people got sick. Terrible, horrible. Many people died. Awful. World War II, entire cities leveled, not closed. Well, I guess they were closed, but leveled.
Yes.
The whole different thing.
I think our listeners understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sorry about the rant.
no, you're not.
Not really.
No, you can cut it out.
Yeah, I can if I want to.
Yes, you can.
I may not. All right. Well, that's it. That's it for humor. Congratulations, Josh. Congratulations,
Catherine.
And
P.
Yes, there you go.
Yes.
And I guess that's going to do it. I got nothing else. If you want to get a hold of us again, 337-502-9011 or tripdub.longintheboot.com. Say goodbye, Deb.
Goodbye, Glenn.
No, you did it wrong again. Say goodbye, Deb.
Incongruity, Glenn.